Good evening, duelists. It's your boy Jules back here with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck Tech and some gameplay. Today we are playing the deck that I have been absolutely tearing through the Synchro Festival with, and that is Resonator Archfiend Assault Rain. A lot of words discussing all different types of parts of the deck, but let's break it down. So the Resonators are these little fiend tuner type guys who have various effects, various levels, and various attributes, but mostly they are just easy to special summon, and they work with helping to recycle materials so that we can continue to synchro up the ladder to our bigger boss monsters, which we'll get to in a sec. The most important of these is the Crimson Resonator. Can special summon itself from the hand if you have no monsters, and then if you have exactly one Darker Dragon Synchro monster with it, you can special summon up to two other Resonators from your deck. So there is a simple line that I'll go through later that involves this guy heavily. He is usually going to be the first thing you want to do on any turn, special summon this guy from the hand. Now he does actually lock us into Dark Dragon Synchro monsters, which can come up occasionally because we have a few that are not Dark Dragon in our list. Well, precisely one, but it's a good one. It's a Baron de la Fleur, so that is something to keep in mind, especially if you tweak the extra deck a little bit. But Crimson Resonator, probably the most important guy. Then we've got the Chain Resonator. This is important. He's mostly important because he's a 1, so you can go into like your 9s and stuff very easily, as well as he is a light for Chaos Ruler, the Magical Dragon, which we'll talk about. Synchron Resonator, he basically just recycles when he's used as a, well, whenever he goes to the graveyard, but that's primarily when you're synchro summoning. Also another 1. Red Resonator, probably my least favorite, but he can help. I mean, he is, gets our level 4 out, so we can get into a 6, which that is one of like the starting places, get into a 6, so that we can get into Red Rising Dragon. He does have a pretty sick ability though. If you are special summoning him, you can target one of your target actually any monster on the field, not just, I found this out in a game like just a couple hours ago, where you can target your opponent monsters as well, and you can gain life equal to their attack points. So we have a bunch of 3,000 beaters. 3,000 is a pretty sizable chunk of life, and then if your opponent happens to have a huge one, if you're able to special summon this guy, you can gain back some of that life, especially if you fire it off like a Solemn Judgment or something. So those are our Resonators. Oh, and then this one Chain Resonator, he's in here just for weird stuff. He can special summon from the hand, but the fact that he's a 3 doesn't really help, and the fact that he's a wind attribute as well is like weirdly, it doesn't mesh with the deck, so he's probably like one of the first things that I would cut. Then we have a small Ascator Dawnwalker package. So this guy, you can discard a card, special summon him, and then you can also immediately special summon this Ant, which is a tuner. Notably, this is a 5. This is a 3, so we can immediately go into one of our 8s, of which we have 3 right here. 2 Scarlet, Red Dragon Archfiend, and 1 Chaos Ruler, Chaotic Magical Dragon, which I'll discuss later in detail. 2 Ash, just because, yeah. And then, now here's where the real fun kicks in. This is the Assault package. So we've got 3 Psy Reflector, Tuner, level 1, great. When he's normal special summoned, which we will often special summon him off Emergency Teleport, so that's great. Assuming you draw fine, and you don't draw like a trash hand, will like not use its normal summon for a long time. So E-Tele into Psy Reflector gets us any card that has Assault Mode activate in its text, or an actual Assault Mode activate, of which we're running just one because it literally just facilitates the combo lines. We don't ever actually use this. No Assault Mode monsters in the deck. And then so off that we'll get Assault Beast. Assault Beast you can pitch to get that Assault Mode activate. So now we have an Assault Mode activate in our hand and at least Psy Reflector on the field. And then Psy Reflector can do this thing where he can you can reveal the Assault Mode activate, which of course your opponent knows because you literally just searched it. And then you can reborn one of your monsters and modulate its level by 1 to 4. So we'll get the Assault Beast, modulate its level up 3, and now we have a 1 and a 7, which we can make an 8. You could do by 2, or no, by 1, and you could have a 5 and a 1 and go into a 6, depending on how you wanted to do it. We also have Assault Sentinel, which basically, this guy will cost you your normal summon, but you can tribute him and then immediately special out any card that lists Assault Mode activate in its text except for Assault Sentinel. It's going to be Psy Reflector. So this will take your normal summon, but this is just basically another E-Tele. And now, if you don't want to, you can actually reanimate this guy with Psy Reflector. 3 Wandering King Wildwind. This is just a free special summon from the hand if you control a Fiend tuner of 15 or less, so that's literally all the Resonators. So he's great, and once again, that's with red or crimson. That's an easy 6 mana, which is a start for us. 1 Raigeki, 1 Reborn, 1 Lightning Storm, just in case. 2 Solemn, 3 Resonator Call. So Resonator Call is just, it's a reinforcements of the army, but for Resonators. So, you know, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have a quarter of our deck as Resonators. This just gets us those starters. Usually you're going to get Crimson Resonator unless you need to get into a specific synchro level, in which case you might get one of the 1-star ones, or even the Creation Resonator. Kind of depends on what you need at the time. And then 3, very important, Red Rain. So this trap is absolutely insane. If you control a level 8 or higher synchro monster, which they basically all are except for these first 3, which we'll talk about, you can banish everything on the field except for the monsters with the highest level. That's usually ours because we have a bunch of 8s, 9s, 10s, 12s. No 11s. I wonder if there are any 11 synchros. I don't think there are. Monsters in the field are unaffected by other card effects except their own until the end of this turn. That's great, so you can fire this off, and you know, if they have any other shenanigans, they can at least not target our guys. And then if this is in the graveyard and you synchro summon a Dark Dragon monster, which once again, basically everything in here is a Dark Dragon monster, you can return this to your hand. Only once per turn, but you can return it to your hand. So this is a great way to use it turn after turn after turn. Or if you happen to mill it off something like Chaos Ruler, you can immediately get it back, basically, when you go to your next synchro. So that's the main deck. Let's talk about the extra deck just for a sec. First off, just 1 Samsara Dragon of Rebirth. This is something that you don't really make a lot. It's not easy to make a 5. I mean, we have some 4s and we have a few 1s, but generally you don't make this. If it's destroyed, you can reanimate one of your... You can reanimate... you can Monster Reborn something, basically. Get whatever you want. I actually didn't realize it targets the other... You can get the other player's graveyard, but that's because usually we're bringing back one of these. Usually if you make this, things are not going too great for you. Either you drew poorly or you need to recover your board by... playing defense and then Monster Reborning something. All right, 2 Red Rising. This is our quick and easy start if we have a 2 tuner, probably a Crimson or a Red, and then also a 4, either a Wandering King, or if we happen to have like an Assault Sentinel left over if we've already done the Psy Reflector or whatever. You can go this guy. This guy then will immediately special summon back a Resonator, usually the one you just used, probably Crimson, which then Crimson, of course, now can activate his second ability, where if you only control him and a Dark Dragon, you can get 2 from your deck. And then that's a very common play is special Crimson, special Wild, Red Rising, reanimate Crimson, activate Crimson, get 2 more tuners, and now climb up to whatever you need to, as well as if you have other plays, because you haven't used your normal summon yet. 2 Scarlight Red Dragon Archfiend, another 8 that we can do. Normally when we get into the 8 line, usually with Psy and Psy Reflector and the Assault package, we'll go straight into Chaos Ruler, because then we can potentially grab something, we'll bin some stuff, potentially a Red Rain, and keep going on up. But if we need to, we can go into Scarlight. Basically, this can just pop all the special summon monsters on the field, as long as they have less than this attack, but usually, once again, 3,000 is pretty high, so usually you can get everything. And then 500 damage to our opponent for each monster destroyed. So I've actually killed a few people with that trigger, dealing like 2,000 or 3,000 damage after the battle phase. So pretty solid. We got 2 of those just in case. Also just good to clean up. And then we've got the Chaos Ruler, like I said. Next is the 2 Hot Red Dragon Archfiends. Now this is a sick card. It's a little bit harder to go into because generally you need that 1-star tuner. You could go Red Rising plus Creation. That's one way to do it. But generally you have a Chaos Ruler plus a one of your 1-star ones, like a Synchron Resonator. Once you can get special summons from the hand, once you get up here, special summon this guy from the hand, boom, go into your Hot Red Dragon Archfiend. And he requires a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, so you can't go 4/4/1 or something. So that's just something to keep in mind. But this guy has 2 effects. 1 quick effect, you can negate the effects of any face-up card your opponent controls. So this is great for if they, it's pretty much anything, right? Anything that doesn't trigger when it goes to the graveyard. And then when it deals combat damage, which is quite often because it's big. This is a 32. This is huge, really. You can reborn a tuner from your graveyard. Any tuner, by the way. So you could get actually a Psy Reflector and then do the Psy Reflector thing if you have not activated it this turn, because Psy Reflector is a hard once per turn. So 2 of those. That's a great one. Then we've got one whatever this card is. Corrupted Nether Soul Dragon. Spooky dude. This was probably actually the most recent addition to the deck. Can't be destroyed by battle, which is cool. And technically 1 Dark Tuner, 1 non-tuner Dragon type monster. That's pretty much everything we have. I mean, you're going to go from probably an 8 with a red or a crimson into this guy. Cannot be destroyed by battle, and then when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, and sends it to the graveyard. So yeah, I guess this doesn't work technically if there's like Deep Prison or something. Or a Dimensional Fissure. You can activate this card, make a second attack. So it basically just beats, it's 4,000. This is the second or third biggest thing. We have a couple other things that can be bigger. And then you can also have an opponent's monster during your standby phase and inflict damage equal to the lost attack to it. So that's pretty sick. I actually haven't ever summoned this guy, but I had one and he seems sick. So it's something I was definitely considering, and I would like to try and get to use him at some point. Next, 2 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. So this guy's sick because he can tribute one of your extra fodders. Like I said, we have a million monsters that just special from the hand. You can just tribute them, and then you can reborn a Red Dragon Archfiend creature in your graveyard. All the things that count as Red Dragon Archfiend, Hot Red, Scarlight, etc. And then also when it deals battle damage, which once again 35, you're getting over pretty much everything. So if your opponent has anything in attack position, or they don't have anything at all because you are nuking stuff, then you can go and special summon 2 tuners from with the same level from your deck, and 1 from your deck, 1 from your graveyard. Usually you're going to get either red and crimson, or you'll get chain and synchron. So this is a solid one. Great play is usually get up to red, and then use red plus a 1-star to get to here, and then immediately bring back the red. Plus, usually you can also get a Chaos Ruler back by banishing a dark and a light. Like I said, Chain Resonator is actually our only light, so that's important. Yeah, he's our only light, so that's important to get him in the graveyard. But usually first turn, Chaos Ruler, Hot Red plus Bane is pretty solid, or Abyss plus Bane is pretty darn solid. Another 10, Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. This guy requires 2 tuners, so that's something to keep in mind with. You can just nuke the entire rest of the field casually in your main phase. The rest of the turn, other monsters you control can attack. Well, generally, either we have no other monsters or they're getting destroyed by this. So, but once again, 35. And then he also negates activations of spell trap cards in the battle phase, and then actually gets an additional 500 for that. So no funny business when he's attacking, no Mirror Force or anything like that. All right, last 3 cards. Barrel into the Floor. I don't need to say anything about this card. It's been absolutely dominant ever since it released, like just a little bit ago. Destroying things, negating things, easy. The only thing is that it's easy for us to lock ourselves out of being able to summon this because of Crimson Resonator's ability. So usually if you need to go up to this, you want to go through the E-Telly and Psy Reflector line. It doesn't get summoned as much as you would think, but still obviously very, very powerful, especially if things have stalled and we're on like turn 5, 6, etc. Red Supernova or Red Nova Dragon. Once again, another 2 tuners and specifically a Red Dragon Archfiend. That's like half of our lineup, so that's fine. 500 attack, additional 500 attack for every tuner on our graveyard. So this thing can get absolutely huge. It usually comes down base like 5 or 6k. Can't be destroyed by card effects, and then when a monster declares an attack, you can banish this card, negate the monster attack, and then this comes back in the next end phase, so at the end of your opponent's turn. This one also does not get summoned that often, just because it usually is easier to do Red Supernova Dragon, even though this requires 3 tuners and 1 non-tuner secret monster. So usually you're going an 8 plus a 2 plus 2 1s. Technically you could go a 6 plus 2, 2, and 2, but not often, or 2, 3, and 1. There's various ways to get to this. It's just you have to be really cognizant. This also does not require a Red Dragon Archfiend like Red Nova Dragon does. This also gets 500 attack for each tuner, can be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, but then also, whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, once per turn of course, but whenever your opponent acts a monster effect, or declares an attack, similar to Red Nova Dragon, you can quick effect, banish this card, and banish all cards your opponent controls, everything. So that's monsters, that's spell traps, whatever, it's gone. And this also does not banish your stuff, which I thought it did. That would normally be fine, because this thing then, and then this comes back during our next end phase after it was banished. So unfortunately you can't banish on our opponent's turn, bring this back and attack for like 7k or whatever. But it's just a really nice safety valve to get rid of anything. There's been plenty of times where basically turn one, climb up the chain, end with this guy, and sometimes like literally just this guy and like maybe a Red Rain or a Solemn backup, but sometimes this guy plus like, you know, another Synchro. And then our opponent does their thing, they special summon, they have like maybe 2 or 3 Synchros out for the Synchro Festival at least, and then like right before they're going to go for the last one, or right when they land that last one, or what looks like a choke point, you can, boom, banish everything. They probably have no more extenders, plus they've probably gone through a significant portion of the extra deck. You're good to go. You can start setting up your turn, and then this guy comes back next end phase, and he's absolutely massive, hard to get through, and cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. All right, so that's the deck. Let's look at some replays. All right, so here is our first replay. We are on the play. Deck always wants to be on the play. Immediately going to start with that Psy Reflector, go right into, of course, the Assault Beast, use the Assault Beast to get the Assault Mode activate, trigger our Psy Reflector to bring back our Assault Beast. We're going to go for probably a 7. Yep, that's a 7. We're going to go up into Chaos Ruler, trigger Chaos Ruler's effect, see what we find off the top. Oh, there's a Red Rain, that's going to be nice. All right, so we're going to take that Synchro Resonator, it's the only legal hit. We're also going to special summon, and then special summon the Wild Wind. Boom, now we can go up, like I said, that 8+1. Now we can go into that hot red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Hot, that red hot. Red Rain triggers, comes back to our hand. Synchro Resonator is going to return Chain Resonator to our hand. We're going to set 3 and pass. Not a bad turn. We've got 2 negates, Solemn plus Archfiend. Our opponent plays Magician Souls. I'm not going to have any of that. I just want to get that out of here real quick. Our opponent sets 2 more and passes back. They are on the Dark Magician deck. All right, boom. We are going to lead off immediately with an emergency teleport, and our opponent is going to concede. They have seen the power of this line before. All right, so we are on the play again. Once again, we've opened phenomenally. We are going to lead with an emergency teleport. Should have led with the Crimson Resonator right there, but I was actually trying to hope, you know, seeing if I could bait anything. A lot of our deck is Ash Magnets, unfortunately. So now we've got the Ash. There's a Crimson Resonator. There's the Wandering Wild Wind. Boom, we're going to go into Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising is going to special summon back that Crimson, and then we're going to activate Crimson's effect to get 2 tuners from our deck. We're getting a Chain and a Synchron. Now we're going to go up into Chaos Ruler. There's a Psy Reflector we can get. There's a Red Rain as well. Nice. Okay, so we're going to get, of course, the shiny Psy Reflector, the superior Psy Reflector. Activate its ability, get our Assault Beast. Pitch our Assault Beast. Get an Assault Mode activate. Now we're going to sync up, go into our Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Too many dang words in these cards names. It's crazy. Trigger our Red Rain. Bing that back. We're going to be happy to set 2 of those at the end of the turn. We'll special summon, and now our opponent has decided that they have seen enough. You're probably already getting a nice little idea of the general lines that this deck goes through. As you can see, we've drawn pretty good hands. There are a few bricks that we might see, but generally you can get going from anywhere. We've also been extremely lucky in terms of being on the play or the draw. Boom, we've got the Assault Beast. I believe I just tried to decide I want to play through the Max C. We'll see how that actually ends up going. Trigger the Psy Reflector once again. This is all pretty standard. We're going to go up for 7. Our opponent draws their first card off Max C. Going into that Chaos Ruler. You're pretty much always going into Chaos Ruler. Since you're almost always going into Chaos Ruler, I could see justification for playing an additional Chaos Ruler and maybe 1 less of our other 8, our Scarlet. But ultra rares, am I right? You know, so. And with that, we are actually just going to set the Imperm and pass. Not much more we can do, unfortunately. We've already used our normal summon. We decide to fire off the Maxi. Our opponent ashes in response. Fire off the Maxi just to, you know, it's a Synchro Festival. People are special summoning a bunch. Just firing it off prematurely to hopefully deter our opponent. Our opponent has the Raigeki, and then they are going for Melody of Awakening Dragon, so it doesn't really even appear that they are on a major synchro deck. They're going to get their Blue Eyes alternative. They're going to reveal their Blue Eyes, their normal Blue Eyes as well, get special summon their alternative. They're going to Silver's Cry, bringing back the Spirit. Yes, the Dragon Spirit of White. Targeting our impermanence. I'm going to fire off the impermanence in response just to negate the Dragon Spirit of White's effect. And they're going to go to the battle phase and hit us for a bunch of damage. Now, it's not over. We still have plenty of plays off this. We're going to lead with the Raigeki, just clear their board up real quick. They're going to do the Ultimate Creature of Destruction, which is a card that I have to read several times throughout this game, I'm now remembering. And it kind of messes us up, but I do believe we still end up taking this. Boom, we're going to fire off Crimson Resonator's effect, special summon. Now we have the Wandering King Wildwood, special summon as well. Go up into the Red Rising Dragon. Standard lines for the deck. Bringing back the Crimson Resonator Archfiend, we're going to fire it off. It appears that our opponent has nothing to say about this, so we're just going to keep going. Now we go into the Hot Red Dragon Abyss. Hot Red Dragon Abyss into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane. And then we're going to trigger our Bane to... well, first we're going to trigger our Synchron Resonator, bringing back our Creation Resonator. Sacrifice our Crimson Resonator to bring back the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and then we're going to attempt to attack over our Blue Eyes alternative, but now this is when I realize what exactly Ultimate Creature of Destruction does. I attempt to try and negate the effects just to see if the Ultimate Creature of Destruction is tied to the Blue Eyes alternative, and it is not. But I am able to trigger, so I actually lose 2 of our synchros in that exchange. Very bad, that's just me not reading the cards. Luckily, we were able to get those 3 tuners back from our various dealing combat damage effects. Now we can go into the Assault Beast mode. We are getting the Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, and then Tyrant Red Dragon Archfiend. Tyrant comes down. We are triggering our Synchron Resonator. We are also going to bring back our Chaos Ruler, the Magic Dragon, by banishing our all-important Chain Resonator, which is our only light in the deck. We normal summon our Crimson Resonator, and we pass it back to our opponent. Our opponent triggers their effect, destroying our guy, and they now go up into the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, a card that I've never seen before. Now, they put it in defense mode because it's hard to do. I am going to ash their Miracle Stone of the Ancients, or the White Stone of the Ancients, so that they do not get an additional monster. I don't really want to deal with that, and as of now, we can trade with their Spirit Dragon. Alright, so now we're going to lead with Wandering King Wildwind. Affected the grave. They're going to negate that. Excellent, that was bait. Really, I want them to not negate my Assault Sentinel so that I can go into our Psy Reflector lines. I lied, we can just go into Baron de Fleur. We are going to pop their guy, and then we'll maxi in response. And draw a card when they put down their Azure Eyes Silver Dragon. Azure tries to trigger, but we are going to negate that with Baron, which will then destroy their Azure Eyes. Alright, here's the Assault Sentinel line. Assault into Psy into you know the drill. Get a few free special summons, and our opponent decides they have seen enough with only a card or 2 left in their hand. Someone translate that name for me. I had a question mark. It was all in Japanese, but I really want to know like what questions are they asking. Alright, so this is actually the first turn that we are not on the play. Our opponent passes first turn. I don't really know what's going on, but we have a wonderful hand, so we're just going to go for it. Always start with the Crimson Resonator, and then go immediately into the Psy Reflector. That is going to eat an Ash Blossom. Very unfortunate, actually. This kind of stops our combo right here. So we're going to set 1, and we are going to get in for 400, because you got to show him who's boss. Alright, so I'm feeling okay. We have a Solemn Judgment that can stop at a crucial choke point, but this is a very fragile board. Our opponent's going to immediately go for the Doppelganger, or Doppel Warrior, and I'm just going to fire off a Solemn Judgment on that Monster Reborn. I do not want them having access to anything, really, because then they can immediately go into a 5, which is Junk Speeder, and get off to the races. And they actually decide to pass after that. Pretty clean. So we're going to go for the Psy Reflector again. We had the second one the whole time. We also had the Assault Sentinel, which is functionally another Psy Reflector. I really should count and see how many we have 3 Psy Reflectors, 3 Assault Beasts, plus 2 Emergency Teleports. We have 9 Psy Reflectors right off the bat. And then as our opponent sees that we are going for the full line, they decide they have seen enough. That last game, not the most climatic game, at least, but one of the powers of this deck is that you can often take so many game actions and special summon so many boss monsters that your opponent decides it's just not worth it, and they'll just scoop. Once again, we have drawn phenomenally. Use the Emergency Teleport. One, because we won't have to use our normal summon, but also because it can potentially bait out something like an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. So that's totally fine. We had the Sire Reflector the whole time. Never didn't have it, never punished, always rewarded. Get the Assault Beast. You know the drill by now. You know, this is once you learn the lines for this deck, it's pretty simple, right? There's only like 3 or 4 main lines, and then it's just kind of, once you have access to all these things, how do you want to sequence to, you know, climb up the chain in terms of your synchros for what you need really. All right, always good to see a red rain off the top. But 2 red rains off the top. Unfortunately, we don't have anything we can actually get back with our Chaos Ruler. We didn't hit any lighter darks. So we just put the Solemn Judgment down and pass, see what our opponent's up to. They fire off the map. I say heck no. I don't know what you're getting off with that, but I don't want to allow it. It would have been nice for them to take 4K from the map, but you never know what they're going to get. I didn't want to take the chance. Our opponent sets one and passes back to us. We draw another Sire Reflector. This is absolutely ridiculous, but we're actually going to lead with the Assault Sentinel. They go Call by the Grave, so we just go for the battle phase, attack for 3K, and pass a turn. Luckily, we still have another Sire Reflector in hand, so our opponent doesn't have anything. Interesting. Okay, so we are now going to, boom, another emergency teleport off the top. Absolutely ridiculous. Another emergency teleport. Our opponent has seen enough. There's too much consistency. The deck does it what it does, no matter what. You cannot stop it. Hot Red Dragons are too hot. We're on the play again. So lucky. So lucky starting with the Sire Reflector. Our opponent has nothing to say, so we know that we can just absolutely go off. We've got the Assault Beast already in hand. We pitch it. We get the Assault Mode activate. Now, our opponent does decide to go for the Maxi here. Once again, I believe I'm just going to say balls to the wall, screw it, and we're going to try and play through it. Probably get punished, but we'll see. 7+1 basic maths. That's 8 quick maths. Although your man's is hot. Hot Red Dragon, Archfiend Abyss, that's what. Our opponent Ash Blossoms. So we're just going to set a red rain and pass. I'm still very happy with this board. Our opponent goes for the Junk Synchron. Okay, I've seen this before. They're bringing back the Max C. Now they're going to go for the Doppel Warrior. Special summon that bad boy. Before they get too greedy and try and synchro up, I'm going to fire that red rain, banish all those boys. There's no recursion for you guys. Let's go. All right, next we're going to lead with the red Resonator, allowing us to Assault Sentinel to the hand, and then now we can synchro up into our red Rising Dragon. We'll get back that red res as well as the red rain. This will allow us to gain a bunch of life points now that we have special summoned him. Now we're going to go up into our Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, attack for a healthy 6K, set our red rain, and pass it back to our opponent, who is looking like they're running low on options. It's hard to stand in the face of such powerful Chadley dragons. Our opponent, same play, pitches the Maxi, Junk Synchrons him back. How do they have everything? They have another Doppel Warrior. Holy crap. I'm in a red rain again. Let me know if you've seen this. I don't know what our opponent was thinking. They saw us trigger and get that back, but that is going to be that. We're going to go right to battle phase and get in with our Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. I tell you, I was rolling incredibly hot when I was playing these games, almost always on the play. Unfortunately, our hand sucks, so we're going to pass. This has like all of our going second tools. I'm going to prematurely fire off that Maxi. They're going to Ash in response. Okay, fine. We traded 1 for 1. I don't remember why I kept that game, but as you can see, this deck can brick on hands. I mean, we have obviously some tools like Lightning Storm and Raigeki to help us get back, but whenever possible, we want to be on the play. Unfortunately, in this one, we are not. Our opponent is on Mayakashi slash Shiranui slash zombie banish reanimator things. This is a deck I'm not super familiar with, so I just kind of let them do their thing. Not that we have any responses anyway, though our hand is pretty solid if they don't have any sorts of crazy negates or anything. Now this is a pretty standard, simple board for them. 2400 beat stick, and then 1 set monster. We're going to immediately rip the Assault Beast to try and get the Assault Mode activate to our hand. They're going to Ash Blossom. That's fine since we already have the Sire Reflector and the Assault Sentinel. I'm going to go for the Sire Reflector. Probably could have gone for the Assault Sentinel as well, just to try and pull a Sire Reflector out of the deck and thin it a little bit. Our opponent activates their Shiranui style Samsara, which I actually don't even know what this card does, but I think I interact with it later in the game. We get the Assault Mode activate. We trigger the Sire Reflector. We do the thing. I really should think about having 2 of this card just in case, but usually the game's over before you need to worry about that sort of thing. Once again, I believe we whiff on our Chaos Ruler. We do, so we set our Solemn Judgment. We attack with our Chaos Ruler, but they activate their continuous trap, their Samsara style. They're now going to recycle back a couple of their banished guys, put one back in the extra deck, one in the deck. They're now going to summon, special summon, set a card, sync up back into, I believe, the same Sword Saga. No, they're going to go into Obaru Gumo. And I'm going to say, hey, I don't want to... I've seen the Mayakashis go up. They kind of link... They kind of cascade back down when they're destroyed. I don't want to have to fight that in battle. I'd rather just get in. I'm going to solemn it. Okay, boom. So now I lead with the Resonator call, hoping to maybe bait any other hand traps they have. We get a Crimson Resonator. Just go for the Crimson Resonator normal summon so that I can activate its ability, get 2 tuners from the deck, and our opponent has seen that we are probably going to be able to punch them in the face very hard. All right, once again, we're on the play. We have a very strong hand. Sire Reflector, of course, leading. Get the Assault Beast. Trigger the Assault Beast. Now, one thing that I've been noticing is that oftentimes I feel like I probably could lead with the Assault Sentinel and try and grab the Sire Reflector from the deck. He still triggers if special summon. That might be a thing going forward that you want to consider if you're playing this deck. Attempt leading with the Assault Sentinel just to thin the deck out a little bit. And then, of course, if the Assault Sentinel gets blanked by a hand trap or anything, or if you need to run the line again, you already have that other Sire Reflector in hand that you can normal summon normally. All right, so we're up into Chaos Ruler, Chaotic Magical. I will never be able to say that name. We're up into the Chaos Ruler. Pretty standard plays, of course, so far. Luckily, we were able to hit on that. We whiffed the last few ones. Triggering the Synchro Resonator. Getting the Crimson Resonator back, and then ending because we have no more special summons, but that's fine. This is a Monster Negate. We've got a Maxi in hand that we can fire off. Our opponent on Blue Eyes again. I'm just going to say no. I do not want you drawing any cards. Trade-in is very powerful. I'm also going to have that Maxi just because I know that they can easily special summon, and I'd rather just have it going. Luckily, they set down their field spell, which, once again, I don't know what this card does either. I don't think it's that important. Spoiler, we win this game. All right, main phase 1, going to lead with the Crimson Resonator. Our opponent is going to Maxi. That's fine. I'm just going to get my specials off. I'm going to go up into our Bane. He was born in the Hot Red Abyss. You immediately adopted it. We're going to bring back our Chaos Ruler by banishing a light and a dark from our graveyard. Our opponent continues to draw cards. We're going to bring back our Hot Red Dragon Abyss by sacrificing one of our tuners that we special summoned off Crimson Resonator. We're triggering our Resonators this whole time, obviously getting them back to our hand, recycling. But we have more than lethal, and we're going to go in for the attack and make our opponent have it. And they don't. They never do. Battle Fader who? All right, and last game. We are not on the play. Our hand is fine. Our opponent is on Plant Rose Dragon thing. I fire off the Maxi just because, sure, why not? They're going to summon a Blue Rose Dragon, put their field spell Black Garden, which is actually, this is a very scary card. And they're going to set one and pass. We're going to go lead with the Crimson Resonator. They're going to play Blooming of the Dark. So they're going to give us a couple tokens. Now, this is a double-edged sword for them. They're giving us tokens, so they're clogging up our board as well as, or sorry, one token, but we will get, they're going to get one because we special summoned the Crimson Resonator, right? So we're clogging each other's boards up, but we can also both use these as not only things to synchro, because they do technically have a level, but also theirs all come in an attack position. So we can attack over them and potentially deal damage. Obviously, they soak up a little bit more than if they had nothing, but we continue to special summon basically everything we can from our hand. The most annoying thing is that every time anything comes in this deck special summons a shit ton, as you've seen through the gameplay. This Black Garden has to trigger because everything gets its attack halved, which also actually ends up, I remember, being quite annoying. I decided to go to Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend because I want to blow up everything on the board. They chain Blooming in the Dark, which does something. I actually don't really. First, I go into the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane, though, and then I can pop our guy to bring back our Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend now. Notably, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, I'm going to pause right there because I don't know what happened. Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend notably has less attack than Bane, and this destroys everything with attack equal to or less than it. So I activate the ability, hoping that I'm going to pop everything except for Bane plus this one Blue Rose Dragon, which has 1600 attack. I don't know why all these other things didn't happen, because as far as I know, these are all special summoned. This was special summoned. But yeah, I figured I was going to get rid of at least all the roses plus my guy plus maybe one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I figured I was going to be dealing 3k damage and then be able to start walking over things. I don't know why it didn't work like that. I was frantically searching, like reading cards, and I still don't understand why it didn't work. We do have a trigger from our Synchro Resonator, though. We get our red Resonator back. And I decided to walk over their biggest thing with my Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Bane and special summon a few tuners from the deck. Then I'm able to use Scarlight to walk over their other little dragon. They have a few tokens. We're going to sync up and get into our Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, just so that we have a negate for probably Black Garden, but whatever they might decide to throw at us. I'm still worried about a Black Rose Dragon. They're going to set one. They're going to summon their little Blue Rose Dragon, and then we're going to get a token. They're going to attack. I'm going to negate its effects so that it does not special summon anything. They're going to walk over they're going to walk over our Psy Reflector, and then turn a bunch of things to defense position. Smart mode. We're about to start doing a lot of damage, aka absolutely nuking their board. I'm going to sacrifice the homie and bring back. I decided to negate the effects of this because I don't want them special summoning anything from their graveyard. Negating this, it's no longer an equip spell. It just kind of goes away, and we're able to bring back one of our dragons. Now, luckily, we can start walking over things. I want to attack the two attack position roses with my Bane and my Abyss because they have dealing combat damage triggers. So as you can see, we grabbed two tuners from the deck, got the Psy Reflector. Psy Reflector triggers no matter how it's summoned, basically, so we can always get the Assault Sentinel and carry on and do our thing. We trigger there. I'm going to bring back another Psy Reflector. Unfortunately, this one will not trigger, but it's still just another body. And then, because we summoned something, we can actually get another special summon of a Rose for them in the battle phase and walk over that since it's in attack position, dealing some more damage. We have, coincidentally, a bunch of tuners, so we are able to Red Supernova Dragon, and then normal summon our red Resonator, which will give us a... I'm telling you, this freaking Black Rose Garden, or Black Garden, is just the most annoying when it comes to just resolving everything. So we've got a red Supernova Dragon. It's huge. Crazy huge, I should say. Notably, we didn't activate Crimson Resonator at all, so we can go into Baron de Fleur. And now, finally, I've had enough. The the Black Garden triggers. I decide to negate and therefore pop it. And then I'm going to pop one of their defense position tokens, trigger the Assault Sentinel, get a Psy Reflector, and then utilize the Psy Reflector finally to actually to show the Assault mode, because we never used that. Everything before that was all in the battle phase, so then I immediately just went up to the red Supernova. We can go into Chaos Ruler. Yeah. So yeah, that last game was a total slog. I was kind of waiting for the opponent to concede there at the end, since we had 4 absolutely huge boss monsters and we got rid of their Black Garden finally. But that's the deck. Here is it one more time. Going first, extremely strong. I think we only had one bricky hand and one moderate hand. Obviously, things like Ash can really mess your day up, or Call by the Grave. Fairly resilient too. Great to set up a incredibly powerful and negate heavy board turn 1, but also can easily rebuild back on either turn 2 or turn 4 or whatever. You saw the lines a bunch of times. Generally pretty simple. Always start with Crimson Resonator, and then if you can, attempt to go into the Psy Reflector line to Chaos Ruler, or go for a 2 plus a 4 into Red Rising, which then can eventually get you to Chaos Ruler, and so on. The extra deck, I think, is pretty flexible in terms of what you need to do. The real question is just, can you get the right numbers to add up to the right levels for your synchros? And the answer is generally yes, generally can. The biggest thing is if you either can get up to Supernova, you can end on my personal favorite board of Bane plus Abyss plus Chaos Ruler, or if you can somehow get up to Baron de Fleur, that's also very powerful as well. One thing I do want to show is this was the version that I had for the Synchro list, but then I have this other version, which is slightly tweaked, getting crafting points and stuff. This has 2 Call by the Grave, which I recently just got, and it has a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, which is just another easy 8, and this has some good negates. So that's the deck. I played it to great success in the Synchro. As you can see, very resilient deck, very powerful deck. Just honestly, the lines are like pretty easy, and it summons big, super powerful, dumb dudes that look super cool. One of my favorite decks that I've played in a long time, so check it out, play it. Unfortunately, it's not like super budget, but if you craft the like Red Dragon Rising pack, you can open a bunch of these, and obviously you don't need doubles of some of these. You don't have to have Red Nova Dragon. You can only have 1 Abyss. You don't need Clearwing Synchro Dragon, but as you work up to these things, you can get them. So yeah, that's the deck. This is Jules. Stay Red Hat signing out.